Hello, I'm Eric Snodgrass, and thank you for watching today's midday weather outlook for the southern region brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions. Well, many of us are waking up here in our southern region to quite a bit of precipitation as this broad shield of rainfall with some embedded thunderstorm activity is kind of slowly progressing toward the east and toward the southeast. But as the low that it is connected to, which is spinning way up here in eastern Canada, is finally moving on off into the open Atlantic, we will see with time the precipitation amounts do decrease as we get over here toward the southeast. And that's important because just looking back over the last 14 days, so our last couple of weeks, that's our region that's actually been quite dry in the southern region, whereas this part of Texas and Louisiana is getting some precipitation here in the near term that's going to help alleviate some of the drier conditions we've seen in that area. So what are we looking at here, just to kind of get the big picture out of the way at the beginning here over the next 72 hours. So this gets us out to early Friday morning. Here's some of our precipitation totals stretching from eastern Texas up through the mid-Atlantic. And we can see some pockets in there where the thunderstorms will kind of follow one another, and there could be some embedded thunder in these storms. We could possibly see upwards of an inch of rainfall in some locations. So I think the tightest corridor is right in through here for the heaviest rainfall. You do notice that as you get over here towards southeast Georgia, but moving into coastal Carolinas and into Florida, the precipitation amounts could be less. So we'll take a close look at how this system progresses through here in just a few seconds, but I want to get to the main point of this video. Looking at the day 4 through 10, so that would be starting this Friday going through next Friday, we have now seen the GFS model and the European model come together on their main ideas on how the precipitation pattern is going to unfold. And this has been good. It's interesting. The European has actually come back over more toward the solution that the GFS has been painting for a little while, which has been one that's a bit more high amplified. And what that means is we get more troughs that sweep through, bringing the precipitation totals up here. Unfortunately, as you get back farther to the west, we will see a drier kind of signal in through. This doesn't mean any precipitation, but a lot of the action is going to be on these lows that kind of form right here and go racing up in this direction. You'll see that in just a few moments. So that's our bigger picture idea here, Friday the 13th through Friday the 20th. So let's get back to the near term. Let's start this off here early this morning on Tuesday and play it forward to about this time, which would be mid-morning. So you can see the widely scattered showers that are still out ahead of this, but the cold air coming in on the backside is going to give us a brief change over to snow. And yep, we're going to look at those snowfall amounts, which will be coming in through parts of Arkansas, northern Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, kind of that corridor getting up into the Appalachian Mountains of Virginia throughout this afternoon, this evening. So I'm kind of toggling back and forth here through your afternoon. As we play this on forward, this is now getting into about 9 o'clock tonight, getting us through the overnight hours. This is now 6 o'clock in the morning tomorrow. You kind of saw it break up there a little bit. All right, so that's kind of what we're looking at here in the near term. As that front pushes off, there is some really cold air behind it. But notice as I get out to the end, if I just kind of play it fast like this, you see the big high pressure cell right there building over Pennsylvania. Watch it again. Starts off in Indiana, goes to Pennsylvania. Well, the flow around it comes right back around to feed the next system, and we're going to talk about that one in just a few seconds here. So looking at snowfall amounts, this is what we're anticipating from the National Digital Forecast Database. So this is put together by the National Weather Service. As we talked about yesterday, I thought it was this area that had the best potential for picking up the most snow. You see they really just have some wet snowflakes coming down here, and at best just kind of a trace of snow, maybe getting up to a ½ inch or 3/4 of an inch. What's interesting is to compare that to the European model for the same time period. The European model is much more aggressive on the snowfall. Now remember though, the European model is looking at what's going to be coming out of the atmosphere here, and it's not really taking into consideration what the ground temperatures are doing and what it might do to stick on the ground. But I want you to let you know that we could get some very brief and heavy snow at times, brief though, behind this front as it comes through. So maybe we'll call this the maximum potential that we could get out of this, with the more than likely scenario being something much closer to this. If you're watching this video and you're in this area, send me a picture of what you end up getting. eric.snodgrass@nutrien.com. I'd love to see it put in my next video. That'd be great. So I'd appreciate that. So watch these temperatures though. The main frontal boundary is already right in through here, and we're going to watch it progress with the much colder air on the backside finally coming in. So I'll pause about right there. This is 10 o'clock this morning. It's already pushed to the Gulf Coast such that by early afternoon, the front will be sliding right through New Orleans. You can see the main frontal boundary right in through here. So let's see what those overnight low temperatures get into. So this is 7 p.m. tonight, Getting now into the overnight hours. This is 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m. So for those of us that are in parts of northern Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and then in the Appalachian Mountains, we'll get a freezing temperature out of this one. Maybe even get some temperatures in the middle 20s out of it. As you come back over here, you can see in the panhandle of Texas and Oklahoma, north central Texas, we have that as well. And if you're wondering what these kind of the speckles here of warmer temperatures are, those are lakes. This is a high enough resolution model that it can see the impacts of bodies of water on the temperatures as well. So then temperatures rebound the next day. So you can see we get widespread 50s in through here, maybe even approaching 60 as we move into the next afternoon. But then next evening comes around, temperatures cool back off, but not nearly as cold as they were. And as we get into the day on Thursday, this is Thursday at noon, we do see another big warm up here for our southern region, getting well back above freezing, of course. Okay, now let's get into what's getting us more active for that Friday the 13th through the 20th time period. So we're going to run out our European model. The GFS is in very good agreement, so I'll kind of give you this blown up view of the European. We'll pause it right here. So that's system number 1 squeezing through here by the time we get into Wednesday midday. So this is starting off at Wednesday at noon. High pressure comes in. Remember, it builds over Pennsylvania. And watch toward the end of the week as the air flows around the high in a clockwise direction, pumping more moisture back in right here. So such that by Friday morning, we're already seeing the formation of our next low pressure system. Now, as this one takes off, one of the more interesting transitions we've seen is that the risk of some cold air damming right here along the Appalachian Mountains here and kind of the, right here in the foothills and the Piedmont, this region here has dissipated somewhat, making us less, I think, fearful of an ice storm early on Friday morning. But I'm going to watch it carefully right in through this corridor for you on Friday morning. So that big precipitation shield moves out Friday throughout the day, such that by Saturday morning, this is Saturday at 6 a.m., it's now pushed up into the northeast. So just some lingering showers stuck around there. So this is really going to be a Friday morning through Saturday afternoon rainfall event coming at the end of the week. And that's not the end of it. So another decent push at some cooler air comes in behind this. And then what are you going to see? Same thing. See the high here? It's going to slide east. And as it does so, pulls in the moisture behind it. And here's our next system coming in for next Monday night into Tuesday morning. And that one goes racing up again into the northeast. Now in this one again, you can see that with the big high here, pumps in the colder air that snakes right down here. We call this cold air damming. We're going to have to look out for the potential, maybe for some more snow here and some ice conditions, again, in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains. On the backside of this, looking at some snow on this next system as well. Now we're pretty far here in the forecast. This is more than a week out. So we're going to have to watch this one carefully, or I guess it's exactly a week out. Going to watch it carefully here. But stay tuned each day we do this updates to see what we're expecting. But let me keep this going just so you can see here. After that, you notice that the next system is trying to take shape just off the coast, and this is why we see the eastern half of the country staying on this wetter pattern. Now to take you to the upper levels to kind of get an idea what temperatures are doing, let's just watch each piece kind of come together here as we play this one forward. All right, there's trough 1 sweeping through. Looks like we get a little bit of rebound here Thursday into Friday. But remember, we're watching Friday for this next piece, this trough right in through here, to sneak out of the Gulf. There it is. Out ahead of it, the development of the low, such that by Saturday morning, remember, it's out of the trough and into the ridge. So the low is sitting here, and behind it comes in some cooler air. But it's going to quickly rebound, and that's because all of these little troughs are pivoting around this deeper trough sitting here north of the Hudson Bay. But they're not really well connected, which is why the temperatures don't really plunge too cold. So this is the system that now comes in next Tuesday. Remember, so we had these 3 systems coming through in the next 10 days, and that's the trough there. Now watch this. After that one sweeps through, look at the pattern open back up to a larger ridge. Now this is out here at 10 days out. In the forecast. And yes, the models are advertising this ridge, which means it's going to be a brief warm-up time period. But all the focus comes back over here into parts of the Gulf of Alaska. And the European model has this trough. Well, you can see the color scheme here. Take it down several notches and you've got what the GFS has. So the GFS is going into a much more amplified pattern as we get here into the 3rd week of the month of December and beyond. But you notice that a lot of that focal point of the coldest air is going to be out west, ridging in the mid part of the country, but this is why you saw that coastal low developing by the time we got out there toward the end of next week, okay? The end of next week. So we'll watch it all carefully to kind of see what it means for you, but let me just take you through a quick rundown on what these temperatures are going to do. Remember, that trough is anchored in this area, so that's where we're going to see the coldest air, and certainly the cold air comes behind the front that we're going to be seeing moving through in the next, 12 hours, but then hanging around for the next 48. So that's why we see the cooler than average temperatures in this area. So both European model and GFS in agreement. After that, remember the second trough comes through on Tuesday. That's why in general, when you just average these things together over these 5-day chunks, we see the cooler weather, but your temperatures are going to be in a bit of a roller coaster ride. But take a look at this. When all that cold air goes focused back out to the west, and the ridging comes back in the midsection of the country, both models are bringing in the warmer than average conditions for Texas through the Central Plains and parts of the southeast. So it looks as though we're going to go into the third week of the month here on riding on some warmer temperatures across our southern region. What's the wild card? Well, the models just keep toying with this idea of elongating and stretching out our polar vortex. So right now it's literally spinning like this, and if you watch yesterday's update, you saw that. I also mentioned that we expect it to pivot, and that's what you're looking at over here. By next Tuesday, that circulation will be sitting in this area. But it's still relatively tight, and it has yet to really break up. But it's going to be this feature that's going to help shove a lot of colder air into the northwestern part of North America. And there's that trough that will be as the result of it here. But as that trough forms, remember, we just get more ridging out ahead of this, hence the warmer pattern in there. But we're having to start to watch, for some reason, these coastal lows that keep forming. So I'll keep a close eye on that one to see how close it gets to the coast. But again, this is all the way out there next Friday, the 20th, that we're talking about. Last thing I want to mention to you is this. Some of the things I'll be discussing in tomorrow's long-range update is the newest long-range seasonal output from the European model. This is December, January, and February. And if you notice, it's got this area painted to be quite active. There's a few reasons for this. We'll be discussing it in tomorrow's update, but part of it is actually that the model's capturing the heavy precipitation we're expecting here in the next 2 weeks, and it may be driving some of these anomalies. The second reason is there's a pretty good calling right now for a stronger subtropical jet stream. So we'll get to all of it tomorrow's long-range update. Until then, you all have a great rest of your day. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you.